ever hear the tragedy of
Mike Trout?
I thought not. It's not a story
Angels would tell you. Mike Trout was the best player in baseball. So talented and so loyal. He could continue playing for a losing franchise despite the pain. He had such a heart with loyalty and selflessness. He could even keep the teammates he cared about from staying with the sinking ship. That was the Angels. A certain fire and talent inside of Mike Trout.
There's a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
He became so loyal to the Angels. The only thing he was afraid of was losing the ability to play baseball at all.
Which eventually, of course, he did.
Unfortunately, he used all of his prime years on the Angels, fighting to help them win, only to never make the playoffs, while his teammates left to better teams.
It's ironic. He could save others from
Suffering with the Angels.
but not himself.
Mike Trout, man, it really is a shame. He really was the best player in baseball for more than an entire decade, and it didn't always feel this way. It didn't always feel the way it does right now. From the get-go, Trout was baseball's best, winning Rookie of the Year the same year Pujols joined Anaheim, finishing second in MVP voting, winning a Silver Slugger and being named an All-Star, and he's since failed to go a single season without being named an All-Star. Oh, other than the fake 2020 season where nobody was an All-Star because there was no All-Star game, but back to his early days. There was no sophomore slump as Trout goes out and finishes second in MVP again in 2013, with the Angels also finishing in third place for the second straight year. But it was a different kind of third place since the team won 89 games in 2012, regressing a ton in 2013 with 78 wins. Fortunately, 2014 was completely different and great for everyone involved because not only did Trout finish top 2 in MVP again, but he also finished top 1 this time, winning the award. He also struck out the most times in the American League, which is interesting because not that he never strikes out, but I don't remember Trout ever being at the top in strikeouts necessarily. But now that I think about it, it's funny because what this tells me is despite finishing top 2 in MVP 3 years in a row, winning at the third, he was still adjusting to the league and figuring things out. These were just his warm-up seasons, and thankfully we also got to see him in the playoffs, with the Angels winning 98 games and their division, only to not win a single game, getting swept with Trout being the final out of the series. Now put yourself back in 2014, put yourself in that year. If you were told that the Angels wouldn't make the playoffs for at least the next 10 years, would you have believed it? Probably not, especially when you were also told who they would have added over the course of those 10 years to supplement Trout, most notably, of course, Shohei Ohtani and Anthony Rendon. Despite those additions, that was it, 2014. As for Trout, 2015 was even better than 2014, 2016 was even better than 2015, and it featured his second MVP award. 2017 was Trout's first run-in with the injury bug as he sprained his left thumb in a game in Miami, a game I just happened to be at, believe it or not, so he missed some time with that, but he still put up the best numbers of his career that year. Then Shohei joins in 2018, Trout has the best year of his career again, and then wins his third MVP in 2019. Rendon joins in 2020, Trout does well on that year's exhibition season, and 2021 was the beginning of the worst stretch of Trout's career. Because he struggled? No, because it was the start of him being more injury prone. That season he strained his calf jogging the bases, but turns out that wasn't what happened, as he actually tore his calf muscle, missing the rest of the season. Angels manager Joe Maddon then says the team is considering removing Trout from center field to help prevent him from getting hurt, and as the public found out about this, so did Trout. The team didn't even tell Trout this themselves. He learned from Twitter, and this is just one of many reasons why Trout's loyalty continues to maybe be the most impressive stat in baseball. He ended up talking to the team about it and staying in center, but did end up missing time due to back spasms and going on to be diagnosed with a rare back disorder. Yet despite missing 43 games, Trout still hit 40 home runs that year. Stupid stuff. And then he'd suffer an injury to a bone in his hand, missing half of 2023. Mind you, during all this time, the Angels as a franchise continue to get flushed down the toilet. They keep losing every year. Albert Pujols, who was a total bust with the Angels, got released in 2021 and became a Dodger, then played with the Cardinals for his final season, and of course went on to put up the best numbers since 2016, and legitimately better than any season he had in Anaheim. Anthony Rendon became as injury prone as that Allstate commercial guy, but at least the Allstate commercial guy is cool. Rendon just has no interest in playing. Shohei Ohtani's career truly started to take off the same year Trout started becoming injury prone, winning 2 MVPs and then leaving for the Dodgers after 2023. So Trout's back for 2024, and even if they had Shohei and a healthy Anthony Rendon who loves baseball, and Albert Pujols figured out how to somehow DH himself 20 years so he can be 35 again, the Angels wouldn't really have that great of an outlook heading into this season. They still wouldn't. Now take away Shohei. Anthony Rendon isn't healthy and cares about baseball as much as I care about math. Albert Pujols is 55 years old and cannot DH himself. I mean, this team is completely completely screwed. No, back in spring training, people were having the conversation of Mike Trout, with some putting the blame on him for continuing to stick on the sinking ship that is the Angels. Because for all these years, fans of all teams, not just Angel fans, have been wanting to see Trout play in October, to play under the bright lights. And they got Ohtani, and the idea of Trout and Ohtani playing postseason baseball together was the greatest dream a baseball fan could imagine. But that's not happening now. It most likely never will, and it's gotten to a point where people are either shifting the blame from the Angels or just putting some of the blame on Trout also for not requesting to be traded to a winner. Almost like he's put this on himself, and I just don't think that's fair to do, honestly, and I'll get to that in a second. But first, let me talk to you about Raid Shadow, and I'm just kidding. So 2024 begins. The Angels only have bad expectations and vibes, but the third hitter of the entire season, Mike Trout, goes deep in Baltimore, hitting his first homer of 2024, the Angels' first homer of 2024, and the Major League Baseball season's first homer of 2024. Of course, the Angels promptly go on to get crushed that game and have a bad first month of the season. Anthony Rendon goes back on the injured list, and then Mike Trout. Again, the team may suck, but Trout started off hot, becoming the fastest player in Angels franchise history to reach 6 home runs, reaching that mark in just 11 games. But then at the very end of April, Trout's bid for his first full season's worth of games since really 2019, it's been that long, was killed as he tore his meniscus, telling the media about it as he held back tears, getting surgery immediately, and he will be expected to come back at some point this year, but it obviously won't be for a while, and the Angels are probably going to be as relevant as the state of New Hampshire by the time he does. There's no beating around the bush with this one. It's shitty. Trout's hurt again, and even if he was healthy, the team sucks, so his talent would be going to waste. And the more time goes, the less appealing Trout seems to trade for, considering the injury issue, along with his massive contract that the Angels apparently won't eat because that's not how they operate. So whoever trades for Trout will probably have to also take on the remaining money on the deal, a deal that still has 7 years on it with an annual salary of $35.5 million. And again, back to the argument that Trout can't blame anyone but himself at this point and he should have asked for a trade. This is my take on the matter. Obviously, nobody wants to see Trout miss the playoffs. Nobody wants to see Trout miss the playoffs for 10 straight years. Not Trout, not the Angels, and not any fans of any team. And it's a shame that his career really may go down as one of the greatest talents the game has ever had that went to waste on a losing franchise. It's not ideal, but I really do value and appreciate Trout's loyalty. I'm being serious. In today's day and age, it's so rare to see anybody in any sport, but especially baseball, play with one team their whole career. Whether you're great, good, bad, or mid, guys get moved around so much, it's a lot of the time out of their control, whether they want to stay or not. The Trout situation is rare because he stayed an Angel until he signed that massive contract that basically locked him down as an Angel for the rest of his career, because even if the team keeps losing, which they of course have, they're in a lot of ways stuck with him. But it's not like Trout wants to leave, and that's my point. Back in spring training, he full-on addressed exactly what people have been saying for years now, that he should request a trade, saying that the easy way out would be to ask for one. He didn't say never, so he did leave the door slightly open, but really only because you can never say never. But he made it clear he's loyal and wants to win a championship where he's at. And the next thing he said, I couldn't agree more with. Trout said the overall picture of winning a championship or getting to the playoffs here in Anaheim is a bigger satisfaction than bailing out and just taking an easy way out, saying, yeah, maybe down the road if something's changed, but his mindset has continued to be that ever since the trade speculations came up. And I'm going to take that one step further. In my eyes, seeing Trout just make the postseason, just simply make it, again, with Anaheim, would be better and more fulfilling than watching him win a championship with another team. Trout has been in the league for 14 seasons, all with the Angels. Through all the bad times, the players coming and going, he stayed in hopes of winning where he started, not wanting to chase a ring, but rather stick it out. So he's not chasing a ring, but people might say he just cares about the money, but that's not true at all, because let's not act like Trout wouldn't have gotten the same exact contract, if not something greater elsewhere if he went to free agency. In fact, when he signed the deal at the time years ago, people viewed it as an underpay. And if you look at the way he lives, you can clearly see he doesn't care about money or some lavish lifestyle. He married his high school sweetheart, they're building a family together. We barely know anything else about his personal life other than the fact that he loves the Eagles and has season tickets to their games, likes to fish, hunt, and has a passion for meteorology. He's a literal weather geek, once calling into the Weather Channel to report on the weather conditions in Millville, New Jersey during the winter. Trout doesn't value being rich, clearly. He doesn't value being front and center and seeking attention or being seen at expensive places with supermodel women, no. He values loyalty to his hometown, to his family, and to his baseball team. And some might say he doesn't value winning, but that's just not true. He wants nothing more than to win, but he's also been with the Angels so long that if he got traded now and won with another franchise, it just wouldn't feel right. It wouldn't feel as authentic. I get that. If Trout was traded 5 or 7 years ago, let's let's say, we're having a different conversation here. But with Trout being 32 years old and 14 years into his big league career, all with the same team that drafted him, I don't blame him for thinking he has to stick it out and not take the easy way out. Has it been fun? No, it hasn't for anybody. It's been painful and dreadful, but I understand. And then you have guys like Stephen A. Smith saying Trout tearing his meniscus and being injury prone is karma for staying with the Angels and not playing relevant baseball. Seriously.
You talked about karma with the New York Knicks. How about this? How about this, doggy? Maybe it's karma for him that he stayed with the Angels. Maybe it's karma with him that he signed with that damn moribund franchise. Maybe he should have went someplace else where you're going to be relevant. And that way, you incentivized to stay healthy so you can play some compelling and interesting baseball that actually matters in September. How about that?
Wild thing to say, even for someone who doesn't know what he's talking about, but things have reached rock bottom for Trout in his situation with the Angels. He can't stay healthy, the team can't win, neither seem like they'll change anytime soon, especially the latter. It's just awful and a tragedy, it really is. I still wouldn't even rule out the possibility of him getting traded at some point. You really can never say never, and again, there's still 7 years left on this contract. But for now, as he continues to stay as loyal as he is, it's going to be another lost year for Trout and any chance of him playing meaningful baseball games. Subscribe if you want. Let me know what you think, and thank you for watching.